Modern society sells you a deeply poisonous lie that no matter how violently someone disrespects your boundaries, betrays your trust, or insults your character, you must forgive them in order to find inner peace. But the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche would look at your unconditional forgiveness and call it exactly what it is: absolute weakness masquerading as morality. Nietzsche understood that the herd weaponizes forgiveness to escape the consequences of their own toxic actions. When you automatically forgive people who have not earned it, you are not taking the high road. You are teaching them that your respect has zero value and that your boundaries are completely imaginary. True psychological sovereignty requires a ruthless ledger. There are certain lines that, once crossed, must result in permanent cold exile. If you want to build an unbreakable reality, these are the 7 disrespectful acts you must never, ever forgive. The very first act of disrespect you must permanently exile from your life is the weaponization of pity. Nietzsche absolutely despised pity. He viewed it as a parasitic, suffocating emotion. When someone looks down on you and offers you their pity during a moment of failure, they are not comforting you. They are subconsciously elevating themselves above you. They are stealing your agency and reducing your brutal, necessary struggle into a pathetic tragedy. Pity is the herd's way of castrating your potential. Never forgive the person who actively tries to make you feel like a helpless victim. Because the exact moment you accept their pity, you surrender your will to power. The second unforgivable act is envy disguised as moral superiority. As you begin to separate yourself from the stagnant majority, you will encounter people who suddenly criticize your ambition. They will call your dedication greedy, your discipline toxic, and your massive success unfair. This is what Nietzsche called ressentiment, the bitter, venomous hatred the weak feel toward the strong. They cannot match your relentless execution, so they try to drag you down to their level by making you feel guilty for winning. Never forgive the person who tries to attach a moral penalty to your excellence. Cut them off completely and let them drown in the silence of their own mediocrity. The third line that must never be crossed is the betrayal of your strategic vulnerability. If you made the rare, calculated choice to share a piece of your past, a deep insecurity, or a private failure with someone, and they later use that exact information as a weapon against you during a conflict, the relationship is permanently dead. This is not a mistake. It is a calculated act of psychological warfare. They took the blueprint of your armor and deliberately stabbed you in the gap. If you forgive this, you are explicitly giving them permission to hold your nervous system hostage. Silence them forever by removing your presence. The fourth act you must never tolerate is public humiliation disguised as a casual joke. Pay close attention to the person who takes subtle, calculated shots at your character, your goals, or your competence when you are in a group setting, only to hide behind the coward's shield of saying they were just kidding. Nietzsche warned that power dynamics are constantly shifting. This person is testing the fences. They are publicly challenging your authority to see if you have the spine to defend yourself. When you laugh along to keep the peace, you lose the respect of the entire room. Do not forgive the passive-aggressive sniper. Confront them with freezing, unblinking silence, and immediately remove their access to your inner circle. The fifth act of ultimate disrespect is the active demand for your conformity. There are people in your life who will try to sabotage your transformation because your new discipline makes their laziness glaringly obvious. They will try to guilt you into skipping the gym, breaking your intense focus, or returning to your old destructive habits just so they can feel comfortable around you again. They do not want a relationship with you. They want a relationship with your weakness. Never forgive the person who asks you to shrink your potential, so they do not have to face their own reflection. The sixth unforgivable offense is absolute, entitled ingratitude. When you sacrifice your time, your capital, or your vital energy to elevate someone out of a desperate situation, and they respond by treating your heavy sacrifice as their basic right, you must instantly cut the cord. Nietzsche believed that noble souls recognize the heavy weight of a gift. The weak, however, are black holes of entitlement. They will drain your resources until you are completely empty and then actively resent you when you finally stop giving. Never forgive a parasite. Let them return to the harsh reality of the world without your protection. And finally, the seventh act you must absolutely never forgive is the apology without behavioral change. Words are cheap, empty oxygen. Action is the only metric of truth that matters. When someone repeatedly disrespects you and immediately offers a pathetic, dramatic apology only to commit the exact same offense a week later, they are playing you for a fool. They have calculated that your forgiveness is a renewable resource. Stop playing the noble martyr. Nietzsche taught that you must value yourself enough to become deeply and unapologetically uncompromising. How do you execute this without being consumed by anger? You must master the art of cold, indifferent detachment. You do not need to scream. You do not need to seek revenge. And you do not need to explain your departure. Revenge is a slave emotion that keeps you chained to the exact person who wronged you. True power is absolute erasure. When someone commits one of these 7 unforgivable acts, they simply cease to exist in your reality. You pull your energy, your attention, and your resources away from them permanently. Stop handing out second chances to people who knew exactly what they were doing the first time. Guard your inner citadel, close the gates, and let the undeniable, crushing weight of your silence be their absolute and final punishment.